From a streak of birdies that amateurs can only dream of, to some unusual history at Augusta National, these are 15 things you didn't know about the PGA Tour. The very first headquarters of the PGA Tour was located at the Commodore Hotel in New York City. The founding meeting took place in 1929, when a group of professional golfers decided to create a golf tour that would feature the best golfers in the world. For the first few years, this office was kept in the Commodore Hotel, before being moved to other locations throughout its history. Currently, the headquarters of the PGA Tour is located in Ponte Vedra Beach, Florida, home of the famous TPC Sawgrass Stadium course. However, PGA Tour was not the original name of the organization. So, for number 14, you might not know that the modern-day PGA Tour actually has roots that date all the way back to 1916, which is a story for later in this video. But for now, the world's most prestigious professional golf tour was created under the name of Tournament Players Division in 1929, and it was not until 1975 that it was renamed the PGA Tour. And perhaps the most astounding fact from these early days is that starting in 1934, the Tournament Players Division began to keep a record of tournament prize winnings and rankings. That year, the number one golfer was Paul Runyon, with a total of $6,767 in tournament winnings, a far cry from the tournament prizes that are handed out these days, which brings us to number 13. In 2022, the PGA Tour handed out the most significant prize money in its history. That year, Northern Irishman Rory McIlroy won the Tour Championship and the FedEx Cup, taking home a staggering $18 million. In total, Rory took home nearly $27 million for the season, bringing his career total to over $71 million since he debuted as a professional on the PGA Tour in 2009. If Paul Runyon were alive to see this, he would surely be mind-blown after seeing how much money professionals on the circuit currently make. And while we're talking about Rory, if you could take a minute to like the video and subscribe to our channel, we would greatly appreciate it. Now, despite those huge amounts of tournament winnings, generating profit is not the top priority for the PGA Tour, as you will find out in number 12. The PGA Tour is technically a non-profit organization. Although the PGA Tour is a money-making machine, with each tournament bringing in significant amounts of revenue, most of their profit is redirected to various organizations, donating more than $3 billion to charity since 1938. The mission statement of the PGA Tour is to promote and develop professional golf, while getting involved in various charitable activities in the United States and other countries, an effort that has grown substantially for number 11. In recent years, the PGA Tour has decided to expand its presence throughout the world. Although most tournaments are played in the United States, it has several international contests in Canada, Mexico, South Korea, Japan, and various European countries. And not only that, the creation of the PGA Tour Latino America allowed them to set foot in Central and South America, promoting golf in developing countries like never before. And in countries where sustainability is vital, we have number 10. The PGA Tour is a leader in sustainability initiatives. Over time, it has been recognized for its commitment to environmental stability in the United States and abroad. Although this may sound familiar, the PGA Tour has implemented numerous green initiatives, including reducing water use, promoting renewable energy, and protecting natural habitats that are in and around golf courses, which are all goals that we can get behind. However, not everything is a permanent spring in the PGA Tour, as shown in number 9. There weren't always full seasons of activity on the PGA Tour. During World War II, the PGA Tour had a 4-year hiatus due to a lack of players and sponsors. Several golf stars of that era were drafted to serve in the war, including Lloyd Mangram, Tommy Bolt, Jack Fleck, Herman Kreitzer, Ted Kroll, Ed Oliver, and Smiley Quick. In addition, the famed Augusta National Golf Club was completely shut down during this war, and the greenskeeper decided to raise cattle and turkey on the grounds during these years, something that is hard for us to imagine these days when we think of the perfectly manicured fairways and greens of the Masters home course. And speaking of the Masters, we've got another interesting piece of its history at number 8. Broadcast commentator Gary McCord isn't just known for his famous mustache, as he found himself in some hot water for comments he made during the 1994 Masters tournament. In a moment of poor judgment, he commented on how fast the green at number 17 was, saying, "I don't think they mow these greens, I think they bikini wax them." This hilariously inappropriate comment immediately annoyed the PGA Tour executives and partners of Augusta National, and eventually led to him being banned from covering the Masters ever since. Talk about having no filter, which, at number 7, could also be said for everyone's favorite lefty Phil Mickelson. And while you are undoubtedly aware that Phil always provides his unfiltered and honest opinions, you may not know that Lefty is actually a righty. Yes, believe it or not, Phil Mickelson is right-handed in real life. Most people have probably assumed that his famous flop shots are reflective of his dominant hand, but this unique truth about Phil just adds an extra layer of fascination to his already captivating career, which, for number 6, could also be said about Steve Stricker. To give you an idea, Stricker was ranked among the top 10 players in the world for 157 consecutive weeks. And although he is the owner of several records, one of them is pretty much unbeatable. At the 2010 John Deere Classic, he racked up a score of 188 over 54 holes, which averages out to be about 3.5 strokes per hole. Talk about being in the zone. And when PGA stars like Stricker are in the zone, it serves as a good motivator for the volunteers of PGA Tour tournaments, which brings us to number 5. The PGA Tour's success greatly depends on the volunteers who help in the organization and execution of its tournaments. There is no exact figure available for the total number of volunteers per year on the PGA Tour, but it is estimated that each tournament requires thousands of volunteers. This number varies depending on the size and importance of the event. Volunteers are an essential part of the success of each tournament, and their dedication and support contribute to the overall experience of each competition, which, for number 4, can also depend on the location of each event. PGA Tour tournaments are great contributors to each of the host cities. Each tournament attracts thousands of spectators and generates incredible amounts of revenue for nearby hotels, restaurants, shops, and other local businesses. In addition, the PGA Tour works in partnership with the local charities of each event, which has endless impacts on the community. But with all these concerns in generating millions in economic growth and income, we should recall in number 3 what businessman Rodman Wanamaker did more than 100 years ago with some of his money. Rodman Wanamaker was a business magnate who owned department stores in Philadelphia, New York, and Paris. As a golf fanatic, in 1916 he organized a lunch with the best golfers at the time. At that meeting, he proposed the creation of a professional association called the Professional Golfers Association of America, and suggested that these top golfers compete in a tournament, for which he would donate the cash prize and the trophy. This is how the PGA Championship and the famous Wanamaker Trophy were born, which is awarded to the winner of this major tournament to this day. But while we're on the subject of trophies, let's talk about number 2. Accidents happen, or so the famous saying goes. In 1946, Lloyd Mangram won the US Open after returning to golf competition from serving in World War II. After obtaining the precious trophy, he took it to his home golf club to display in the clubhouse. But in a tragic turn of events, a fire devoured that very same clubhouse, and the original US Open trophy from 1895 was destroyed. Speaking of fire, we have a man that was on fire, figuratively speaking, for number 1. Who are we talking about? MarkCalcavecchia, owner of several records on the PGA Tour. In 2001, he made 32 birdies in a single tournament, but that was nothing compared to what he did 8 years later. At the 2009 RBC Canadian Open, Calcavecchia made an astounding 9 birdies in a row, a feat that is hard to fathom for us amateurs. Making 1 birdie is hard enough. It might be easier to win the lottery than to make that many birdies in a row. So, what is your favorite moment in the history of the PGA Tour? Comment below and let us know. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.